Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Cheers. So good afternoon. Nice to meet you all. Just pop onto our first slide there. So we're going to be talking to you this afternoon about applying AI in your business. And that is AI, its technology, the services and the solutions that surround that, and how to make best use of this in your endeavors, in your businesses, sometimes in your general life. So we look forward to running you through this, but we'll start with introductions. Some of you we know, some of you we don't.
Hi everybody, my name is Dave Bolton. I am an associate professor of entrepreneurship and innovation at Swansea University. Just a little bit about Swansea. From the badge that you can see at the bottom, want to just tell you a little bit about that really, and how it actually fits into what we're doing here. The dragon at the top is obviously to signify the Welsh country, and you've got a pickaxe and an anchor and a book, which really show the industrial and maritime heritage, as well as the understanding of learning and the need for learning. So, as I said, Swansea is based in Wales, right on the southwestern tip, and it has been the centre for innovation in Wales for a number of years. Healthcare, electronics, and other businesses. But going back into history, copper, steel, coal was what we were known for, and we had to redevelop ourselves. And to redevelop ourselves, we had to be entrepreneurial. We had to generate an enterprise mindset. So that's really important. But I'd also like to just finish off before I pass back to Rob and note the cultural links between Wales and Argentina. Many of you may know that my ancestors in the 1860s moved from Wales to Patagonia, and since that time there has always been a very, very close relationship between Welsh and the Argentinian people. So it's an absolute pleasure for me to be here, and I'm looking forward to working with you over the next couple of hours. Thank you. Over to you, Rob.
Great, thank you. So I'm Rob Baldwin, the Solutions Director of an organisation called Libra Europe. We're a management consultancy, and with Swansea University, we bring a business lens to this training. We apply what we're about to show you in real businesses every day. So with that, they share in that success and they see growth, and we want to do the same thing with you. A quick story about our business. It was started in 2001, which was before I worked there, because that would have made me 9 years old. I joined the business around 2015, and you can see from the numbers on the screen, we started 2001 with 2 people and 1 client. There wasn't a great emphasis on growth. In 2015, we had 12 people and 8 clients. We really started using AI and technology in 2024 to help grow our business. And since that point, our team hasn't got too much bigger, but our clients, our projects, our revenue, our growth, it's contributed to making our business what it is today. And again, through what we're about to talk about, I'll show you how. So, a quick overview of today's plan. I'm going to start by telling you a quick story with something that happened to me last week. We're going to do an AI 101, where I'm going to go over the key terms of what AI is and how it works. Dave and I are then going to quickly chat about the philosophy of AI, how you should use it, what you need to watch out for, where AI belongs in your businesses next and where it doesn't, and then finally, the challenge you have in adopting this technology and making the most out of it. Perfect. So I'll just kick off with this story. Last week, one of our customers asked me to help them solve a challenge they have with complaints. Their complaints were rising, and they said, "Can you help us with technology and AI solve that problem, get back to those complaints quicker, get back to those customers. And we dug into it, and I said, I don't think that's the right thing to do, and we're not going to help you with that. Now, keep that in your minds. We're going to come back to that at the end. But everything we talk about will contribute to that. So, a quick show of hands in the room. Who uses AI? Okay, good, interesting. 6 months ago, it wasn't that many people. 2 years ago, there might have been one person in the room. So the speed of growth has been absolutely huge, as you can imagine. Now, these keywords are things that are AI and support AI. And if we think about it in this way, we can use it to our advantage in business. So generative AI is just that. It's the ability, or a tool with the ability, to generate new information. Think of it as a brain. Now, as standard, that brain has access to the whole internet. That's your encyclopedia. And based on that reference point, that brain can tell you what you ask based on that memory source. The one in yellow below, retrieval augmented generation, these are the memories for the brain. This is the ability to control that tool that has the ability to generate new information, but make its sources limited to just your products, just your suppliers, just your mission statement. So when you ask AI a question, it doesn't know the whole internet. It just knows you and what you're trying to achieve. There's robotic process automation, which is the one in orange. And what that means, simply, is the term, if this, then that. If I receive a text on my mobile phone, automatically send an email. If my orders on my e-store, my online store, get greater than the amount of stock I have, send a work order to the factory to create more. It's an automated rule. And then finally, application programming interface, API. And that is the ability for systems to talk to each other. So all of these terms sound highly technical, and I hope I haven't lost you in the jargon. But linking these things together and understanding them together will show you how they can make a difference to your business. So the brain, generative AI, the one on the very left, that can think. It can think and help you make decisions. Memory, RAG, retrieval augmented generation. You can feed that memory with just the things you want it to know. Connectors, APIs. You can then connect to other systems to perform things, buy something, email someone. And then hands, RPA, the action, the thing that actually lets you complete that task. When you take those four things together, you can start to do what a human can do. If you've got someone who places orders, who does order entry and types information into a computer, with this, you can start to get AI and technology to help you with those tasks. Now, I'll explain the philosophy around that in a second. In business, we make decisions and we perform actions. That's the role of us in our organizations. We deliver something for our customer. We are existing to make something happen. Now, some businesses make those decisions and perform their actions based on feel. They do what they think is right based on what they can see. Some businesses take those actions based on data. They look at the facts, they look at the numbers, they understand where to find an opportunity for their customer, they analyze it, they make a decision, and they take action to solve a problem. Before, AI and technology would sit between data and analysis. It could help you make sense of a situation. That's how most people use AI technology. Going back to the four metrics we had before, the brain, the memory, if you have data and you don't analyze it, the data is useless. If you have analysis, but you don't use it to make a decision, the analysis is useless. If you make a decision, but no one actions it, what was the point in making the decision? These four things are the backbone of how businesses work. And AI and technology can now do more. It can analyze the data. It can help you make the decision. And with RPA, it can also perform the action. This means we can start to automate parts of workflows.
Thanks, Rob. I just wanted to jump in there because we're obviously talking about the business applications for AI, but we're going to find that AI is something that we interact with not just from our working lives and our business lives, but on a daily basis. And as an academic, I am well aware that we need to be teaching our young people, the next generation of workers, the benefits of using AI, the synergies that can be generated, and the benefits that can be generated from that. There is, however, an element that is bad from a student's perspective, which is them using it to cheat on coursework and examinations. So we are having to rethink how we actually test students' knowledge, and one of those ways is, excuse me, to take what AI gives us and to actually critically analyze it. So moving on from what Rob was saying at the very start about AI taking over from people losing jobs, there still needs to be that human input to actually make AI worthwhile in our lives and in our business lives.
And that's also true in the business world, beyond the education world. How many times have you asked AI to help you with something for it to give you an answer that makes absolutely no sense? And I think in the earlier days, that was always true of it. You'll be sad to know that in businesses in the UK, people are using AI to think for them instead of amplify their thinking. And we very much advocate for the second. It shouldn't come up with ideas for you. It should help you with the ideas you have and to grow them. So what's on the screen is a very technical term of how actions get performed in a business. Behind that is the ethos of when you need that help and when you don't. My one biggest tip is AI is fantastic at helping us find a starting point. When you're sat there with a blank piece of paper on the thing you're trying to do, that can often be the hardest place to start. But getting a starting point and then shaping it with our thinking, allow it to amplify our thinking, that's where there's real benefit. So the AI spectrum, and with this, what I want to explain is where most people are using AI right now. And most people are using it from a conversational perspective. When Rob kicked off and he said he was using it to tone down his complaints to the bank, that's a common use. Lots of people are using it to handle professional communications. You put text in and you get text out. That's generally where most people are. The middle bit, generative AI. AI is fantastic because it doesn't just generate text. Some of you might have made silly pictures with it. Some of you might have created financial forecasts with it in Excel. You can also create process maps. You can write strategies. You can help it to form your ideas into business plans. Generative AI means you put text in, but your output doesn't have to be text. It can be something far more powerful. And then finally, workflow. So the first two examples I gave you, conversational and generative, mean that a person has to kick them off. I have to go to my AI platform, should it be ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, and I have to tell it what I want it to do. Workflow AI fits in with my business process. And when something happens, for example, my store runs out of stock, or I don't have any materials left from my supplier to make what I want to, instead of me having to go and be a trigger, cause something, AI can get triggered by that event. An email could come in from a customer asking when I could get 20 garments to them. AI could look at my production plans, it could look at the information that's available and draft the response for me, so I don't have to do that investigation. That's an example of workflow-based AI. AI itself initiates the task, so I don't have to. And that stops things getting missed. That stops things falling between the cracks. Perfect. So, yes, online paper marking.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you an example of how we use AI in the education space, and one of the ways that we do that is by pre-grading papers. So making it easier for us when we're grading coursework and grading dissertations to be able to categorize submissions based on what is actually missing from them. So that saves time, it saves effort in terms of the grading from the initial standpoint. It also allows us to create marking matrices to be able to highlight exactly where the students have fallen down, and in certain instances help them by providing objective feedback as well. We always have a person in the loop, an examiner in the loop, as the human brain, let's say, to make sure that no mistakes are being made. But this is just one way that we are, as academics, utilising AI in the real world.
And there's real benefit to that. If I'm a student and I complete my exam and I've now got to wait 3 months for my mark to come in, and I'm worried, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? Am I going to get into college? Am I not? The technology used in a workflow in a sensible way, of course, always with human oversight and human checking, could mean that instead of that paper being sat in an in tray for weeks, for months, waiting for someone to look at it, I could actually have it initially assessed by AI and in front of the professor not too long after I finish the exam. So there's an educational example. How in business, think about the number of in trays in corporations, in our own businesses. The to-do list always gets bigger. What if we could have someone to help us with the to-do list? So this is a real case study on a business that exists, and I appreciate the numbers are probably quite small at the bottom, so I'll repeat what's on here to make the points. This is one of the world's leading management consultancies, and in the world they have 65,000 employees. That's what they say. They also say that 40,000 of those employees are people, and 25,000 of them are AI agents. Yeah? Nearly a third of the workforce. Over a third of the workforce. There you go, that shows you my maths. So, what have they done and why have they done that? Well, what they've done is they've worked out what in their organization a person needs to do, and what in their organization AI could not only do, but be better at than a person. And the example I'll tell you about now is their writing of presentations. So the company in question are the best in the world at writing management consultancy presentations. They have great stories, they write great strategies, they're known for what they do. But what they've realized is that they have to be management consultants, they have to be graphic designers, they have to be storytellers, they have to get to the point, they've got to do all these things. And the administrative side of that takes them away from spending time with their clients, because that's what matters. So if graphic design could potentially be handled with AI, because it's always the same brand and it's often the same layout, if the story could be crafted by AI, because the rules to create the story are often the same, if the slides could be put together, if the points could be created, then it allows the consulting team to spend all their time with the client. They send the story to the AI agents. The AI agents create the presentation faster than they ever could, and they return it to the consulting team. The client is delighted, the work is done more quickly, the outcome is more consistent and looks better. Those things together mean, in that situation, it's been a massive success. That would not apply to sales. That would not apply to personal connections. There's so many things in the organization that it wouldn't apply to, but they've put effort into finding the things where AI can genuinely do a better, faster, more consistent job. The point I want to make across big business, across small business, is that it doesn't have to be about replacing people. People look at AI and they think, oh my God, what's going to happen to my job? That's often the thought, that's often the fear. Now, in business, I can speak in this for my business, we've fought hard to find good people who are skilled and are interested. We've invested in them, we've trained them, we've grown them, we've built trust between the people that we work with. And for a lot of what we do, because our business in consultancy is based on connections, our people are our business. So going and replacing them with artificial intelligence is not good. It's not the thing that we want to do. So our approach is this, and it's what I advise you consider. Don't think about who in your organization could be replaced by AI. Don't think about which people you need and which people you don't. Think about it at a task level. What do you in your businesses and employees in your businesses do that genuinely adds value? What do they do that really matters? And what do they do that doesn't? How much time do we spend on tasks that don't drive our business forward? They don't increase sales. They don't allow us to be more creative in creating new products. Now, we've got some examples on what those tasks are on later slides. But yeah, have you got anything you want to add to this one?
I think the value is the key point here, and one of the questions that I ask my students to consider on a daily basis is, what is their notion of value? And most students will think of money, profit, as the value that's actually being created. And yes, that's important, especially if you're running a business. You've got to be generating money to invest back into the business and to grow. But there are other types of value as well that people can add. The ability to lead, the ability to change, the ability to think strategically, and that is important as well. As it's all about collapsing the amount of time that is actually spent by individuals within that business, driving that business forward, and that's something Rob's going to talk about later.
Just a quick show of hands. I know some of us are business owners, some of us work in businesses, but who has strategic goals? Who knows what they're working towards? Okay, a few hands, good. A strategic goal means we want to reach this level of turnover. We want to be in these markets. We want our products to be in these restaurants or these shops. That's a strategic goal. To get there, we know we're going to have to hit this price point. We're going to have to create this volume. That's what genuinely adds value. Anything that happens in your business that doesn't drive you towards one of those strategic goals fits in the orange category on the screen. It probably doesn't need doing. And if it does need doing, it might not need doing by a person. So let me give you some examples of what we think those things are. And again, I appreciate the text might be a bit small for you at the back, so I'll read everything on this one to try and make it clear. So there's two symbols on the screen, a brain and hands. And back to the bit at the beginning where we talked about generative AI, process automation, retrieval augmented generation, APIs. The brain are the things that only your people can do. Founder-led decisions, making key relationships, creative judgment on what we're going to create, and strategic bets. Do we create the blue range or do we create the green range? What's going to work best? The decision comes down to the person. The analysis might be AI. The hands can do everything else. Admin, business expenses, scheduling time, setting appointments in the diary. In that top one, I'll also add the ability to identify new customers and come up with communication strategies for them. I don't know for all of you, but outreach sales is one of the things that I really, really don't like doing. People are scared of people saying no to them. If you can use AI and technology to identify clients, help you form communications, then it means that 75% of that job is done. All I have to do is chase, press the send button. It makes it easier for me. I can reach more people with less effort. Inbox, chasing. Cool. In this day and age, the inbox now rules most people's lives. Sending something to someone and expecting a response is a thing of the past. You now have to chase everything over and over again to try and get something back from someone. Why are we doing that? It's a really important point. AI, given the context and with the information, can help us in that situation. Reports and data. All businesses have and generate data. We, as employees, as owners, spend an awful lot of time turning that into reports. It's a standard formula. If it's a tax return, if it's a financial statement, normally the way we get from the data to the report is the same over and over again. So why do we start from scratch every time? And then finally, first drafts. Back to the point I made at the beginning. That white sheet of paper staring at you on the computer can often be quite daunting. So if AI can lay out the starting point, if it can get you off the starting line, not think for you, but just take your inputs and turn it into something that means you've got 500 words instead of none that you can then play with and tweak, it's massively helpful and massively important. AI belongs overwhelmingly on the right-hand side of the screen in the orange section. In the blue section, that's where you are. If we get this right with AI and with technology, you can spend nearly all of your time in the blue lane, but it takes some infrastructure and some understanding on the right-hand side to give you the time to do that.
Can I just add an example from that, from my working environment? Higher education in the UK is under pressure financially, and most universities in the UK are actually cutting jobs at the moment. Those jobs are now being farmed out to academics to do, and they are basically admin based. We're not used to doing that sort of thing, and what we're interested in on the blue side of that is teaching, is research, is getting our students to that level of learning, not the orange side, which is writing the exam papers, doing the marketing, all that sort of thing. So that is an area where AI is being looked at in a sector to help overcome some challenges.
We talked about strategic goals a second ago. These lists will be different depending on what your business is and what you're trying to do. But understanding that, and guys who are staying on for the workshop in a second, this is something we're going to do. We're going to identify in your businesses the activities, the time that you invest, what of it adds value and what of it doesn't. That's going to be one of the exercises we undertake for all of you. Understanding your process from end to end and knowing what in it happens that is add value and what is not is a crucial element of business success. So, to recap that last section, and this bit's really important, amplify people, don't replace people. Some of you that are individuals in your business or couples, you might think going forwards, we now need to have an accountant. We might need to do certain things from a people perspective to get expertise in the business. And you'll be right when you reach a scale that allows you to finance that person, when you've got enough money to be able to do that and get that support. But in the meantime, you can use AI to amplify your own ability. It bridges the gap as you grow to be able to become more productive in all elements of business yourself. In summary of this element, AI should not run your business, and it never will. It should run all of the tasks that exist around your business. Your business remains you, and you remain in control of decisions. The last point on this, and the bit to take away, hands, not brain. That's where AI should help. Okay, so on that theme and into tasks where we think AI can help, and we've put examples into this of where it's actually making huge differences for some of our clients. The inbox. So our chosen AI partner is Anthropic. That is the product Claude. I hope some of you have heard of that. Claude can connect to our business inboxes and read emails and understands the contexts of relationships and conversations. Now, it sounds a bit scary. It sounds a bit Big Brother. We've put some trust into Claude, and we've put some securities and controls in place to make sure our business data remains in our four walls. But with that ability to read our emails and act on some of the things we want it to do, the people in my business now have a personal assistant. And that personal assistant doesn't get a salary, but they don't miss anything. Every morning when I wake up, I don't wake up at 8 a.m., but by the time I start working at 8 a.m., my personal assistant has read my emails from the day before, looked at my diary, understood where I'm traveling, and set my day up for me. It now means that I can get to the end of a day with no email unread or unreplied to. It means my diary for the next few days has travel booked in and is up to date, and I know what I'm doing. It means that if there's anything of concern or any customer that I need to respond to or person in my business who needs my time or attention, I've been told without having to find out myself. It takes the bits of my job of the inbox and automates how I process those and how I use those.
Yeah, and Rob was showing me this morning, and I have to say, I had technology envy from seeing how this AI tool could actually read emails and respond to them. But just to give you an example of how I do things with regards to emails, I have 4 separate email inboxes, one for general, one for items that I'm copied into, one for urgent, and one for VIPs. So I can actually prioritize myself what I look at first, and it's usually VIPs, urgent, and then my copied inbox last.
This is why you never get back to my emails.
It is, yeah, it is absolutely. Yeah, even the copied in. So yeah, that's a way that without these tools you can actually still utilize AI, because in Outlook we're using rules to actually place messages in certain inboxes, and that is what Rob was talking about at the start of it, the robotic element, the hands element of sorting my mail out.
It's a really good point. AI is at the forefront of technology. Process automation has been around for a long time. If this, then that. If this email comes from this person, bring it to the top of my list. Something we could all do every day to make our inbox a bit easier to manage. On from the inbox, data and reporting. I hate admin. It's part of the reason I do what I do, because it eliminates admin. But data and reporting, pulling information, cleaning information, summarizing information. It's really important that we use something to help us in this space, because those are the tasks that generally do not drive us to our strategic goals. Although they need to be done, although I need to put my business expenses in, which is true, and they're going to be high because we've traveled to Argentina. It's difficult, it's going to take time, it's arduous, it's administrative. It doesn't drive my business forward, but it needs doing, and it's a perfect application for artificial intelligence.
Too much steak and red wine on the expenses, I think.
He's not wrong. Yeah. First line support. Now, this isn't always just for technical businesses or IT businesses. This can also be for those who buy creative products. If they've got something and they're not happy with how it looks, the size might be wrong, that's going to generate activity into you. And as your businesses scale, there's going to be more and more people asking questions. First line support isn't always about problems. It could also be from stockists asking for more. It could be from people asking how your product's put together. It's linked to inbox, but first line support is taking a query that your business receives and being able to address that automatically and quickly, where it's simple enough for AI to be able to answer. So once we've understood that scenario, we can answer once and we can reuse that answer forever once we understand that scenario. If you think about that in numbers and you think about the emails you receive, that could mean that 20% get automatically replied to. And for a customer service team, that can be huge. We have a logistics customer in the UK where that number is now 80%. 80% can be automatically resolved and replied to using AI. That means their customer service team can spend more time working with customers that have genuine issues that have never been seen before. That's been a big point of differentiation for them. The final point on here is content. This could be web content, this could be written content, anywhere where I've got to get an idea that's in my head onto a piece of paper, either a document or, like I say, a website or a portfolio. This isn't about taking the creative element of what I'm doing away. It's about framing my thought into the format I need it in much more quickly. Good. So this is a challenge to set for all of you, and this is achievable. This is what we aim to do with our clients. Consider a 40-hour working week and all the things that you'll do in that time. I don't know in your different businesses how much of that is administrative, but in the clients we work with who have customer service elements, management elements, support elements, we can save them 10 hours of that 40 hours per week by taking the things they do, analysing all the things in their business, understanding what truly adds value, and then if something doesn't truly add value, it goes into one of two categories. Either something we stop doing because it doesn't matter, or something that we can automate with technology and AI. The target there is to free up 1/4 of people's time. If you could free up 1/4 of your week, if you could get 2 hours per day back, what would you do with it, is the question. And this is where the strategic goals are so important. Because if you don't know, then the inbox will take that time straight back. And that's really, really important. So these tools can enable you to save time and focus on what's important. But it only works if you know what's important. So we showed you the orange element before, and that orange cards of the hands, the things that AI could do to save time. Well, what about the things that it can't? Now, these are the things not only AI shouldn't be doing, but the things people want to do. For your employees, for yourselves, these are the interesting things in most cases. These are where the value gets added to your business. So if we kick off with market research, and I'm going to ask for a show of hands again, how many people in this room understand their target customer and know what they look like? Okay, a few hands, yeah. Good, awesome. If you had more time to spend time with your customers or trying to answer that question, doing the market research, creating potential prototypes of the products that you want to sell and testing them in the market, running a social media campaign of pictures of something new that you've designed and getting it out to people that haven't seen your brand before. These are things you can do with the time you've saved. This is one really good application for those 10 hours that you just got back. Customer insight goes hand in hand with market research. Understanding your target customer is really important. Understanding what they're thinking is even more important again. How can you be in environments where your target customers are? How can you tell situationally when they might have money to spend and they might not? If a customer has seen your product showcased somewhere, they've been for the Michelin star meal, they've been to the boutique where your clothes are sold, how can you make sure what you're doing is going to reach that audience? And when do you get the time to think about that? Those are really crucial questions where if you have the time to think about them, the answers can be really powerful. What is your product worth to your customer? Pricing. What's the formula in someone's head that equals yes when they take all of the things into account about how much they want your thing? Is your business a business that's set on a 50% margin, an 80% margin, or a 5% margin? How are you going to make products or change your proposition to test those different margin levels and find out? Again, at the moment, we're so tied up in the inbox. We're so tied up with the admin that we don't get the chance to rise above the day-to-day often and strategically think about that. If we did, how much more thought could we put into it? And then finally, planning, modeling, stress testing, deciding. The day-to-day, the inbox, as we've said, it takes over people's lives. Today is stressful enough, so looking at tomorrow, often there's no time for. The weeks, the months after that, they just seem to run up sometimes. So if today was handled, if tomorrow was handled, if we knew next week was in hand, we're not going to run out of stock, we've got enough sales coming in, we understand how we're going to pay our staff. If all those things are settled and the mechanics that run those things, the processes, are being handled by AI and technology, what am I going to plan? Am I going to plan to make more stock? Am I going to plan to reach a new customer? Am I going to plan to make a value line to try and reach a new audience that my product has never seen before? These things are all made possible by having the day-to-day running of your business as streamlined as possible.
Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I think this, for me, from an academic perspective, is one of the most important slides that we can pass across to you. Firstly, you have to realise that 85% of small businesses will fail within their first year of trading. Now, that sounds horrendous, okay? But when you work out that 90% of those that fail will fail for one reason, which is a lack of planning, a lack of modelling, then it becomes quite an easy element to fix. And I just want to just highlight some of the areas there that Rob was looking at. That AI, again, just to reiterate, is very, very difficult for it to do, but it can support you to do it. So market research, for instance, who are your customers? Now, you may think you know the answer to that question, but there may be customers out there that will buy your product for reasons that you don't realise. You are all creative people, and you have an idea as to what your product should be doing and the value that it creates. But there may be value that is created that you weren't even aware of. So understanding your customer's needs, understanding the job that the customer needs doing is really important, because that then feeds into your value proposition, what you are actually providing. I think also what is happening externally within the market is important as well. So we need to have an awareness of political elements, economic elements, social elements, technological elements that can all give us opportunities that we can chase from a strategic perspective as well. So AI giving you your time back is important because it allows you to strategize and think about these elements of how your business is going to grow and where it's going in the future.
So the final point on this slide is at the bottom. It says, change what is expected of your people. Make those expectations contribute to your goals. And that's really important. Successful businesses have employees where everyone is aligned on what they need to do, and they're all pulling in the same direction. Entrepreneurial businesses that potentially just have one person have no guidance. They are the person setting their own expectations. So their inputs, their direction, if they sometimes don't have someone to help, if they're just looking at one area of the business and those other things are falling over, it can be a really lonely place to be. Understanding the strategic goals, understanding the things that need to happen to get you to reach them, and then making the activity that you do every day contribute to getting a little bit closer by setting the right expectations for yourself and those who work for you is the primary objective of this. Technology and AI can help with time, but strategic goals come first. So, at the beginning, I told you a story about a company who asked for our help to speed up the way they reply to complaints. They wanted an AI system to read the complaint, understand what the problem was, and either offer the customer some money, offer them an apology, change their order for something else. They asked us to do that. We said no, because they weren't willing to look at why they were getting more complaints in the first place. It's a perfect example of using AI and technology to solve the wrong problem. The complaints kept coming for that business. They solved saying sorry faster to their customers and not the underlying problem. The key here is to turn the most powerful tools that we have right now technologically into things that truly matter, understand the value our business is trying to add above everything else. There's a bit at the end about effectively solving issues so that they don't exist, not so you can just say sorry faster. So I'll come on to that at the end. Anything you want to add in?
No, that's fine.
So to avoid that situation, to avoid taking these resources, taking this knowledge and solving problems that shouldn't exist, how can you understand where to spend your time? If you're going to buy a license with an AI provider, that could be $20 a month. It could be more than that, depending on what you choose to use. How do you make the decision on where you purpose that tool and what you tell it to do? So this is a really simple value map. The bottom left is operational, the bottom right is strategic, and then the bottom row is low leverage, and the top is high leverage. When you've got an idea for using AI or technology, for example, I want to use it to reply to customers automatically, you need to understand where on this grid it fits. The complaints example exists in operational high, the dark orange section. For the business, their complaints team saved a lot of time. The complaints team were able to deal with more. It made an operational impact. But strategically, there was no difference at all to the business. So it was of limited value. Where you see the yellow star in the blue side, that's where opportunity truly lies. And that's where we will help you through the program understand exactly where to apply technology to improve your businesses and reach new heights.
Okay, so moving on from that, this is ultimately what we're going to be teaching you over the course of the program. Is not business planning, but business modeling. And there is a massive difference between those two. So I always ask my students, why do you create a model? Or what is a model? And a lot of people will think of a model car or a model boat and so on. And the reason that people create models is to prove something without the cost of building a huge prototype. And if it doesn't work, it's not going to be the end of the world. So that's exactly what we're doing with business modeling. And we're going to use something called BMC, the Business Model Canvas, to help you to model your business idea and to develop it strategically, and also to think about where AI can actually fit into your business idea. I'm not going to go into too much depth because this is what we're going to cover in other masterclasses. But essentially what you will have is a model of your business on one side of paper, that you can move elements around, see where the gaps are, understand your customer needs, understand the value that you're creating for them, and how everything works to support that.
And for those of you not part of DAI this year, resources are available generally, and I think on the Swansea University materials.
Yeah, there's a lot of materials that are available on YouTube. The Strategizer website would be the best place to look at for that. But business model canvas, if you do a search on it in Google or on YouTube, then you will find a lot of information.
So the challenge to leave you with before we kind of finish the session today is the question that's on the screen. And again, I'll translate, or it'll be translated from what you see in English text. The challenge for your businesses is don't just answer the issues. That doesn't just mean problems, that means growth challenges, that means direction, that means what you're aiming to do. If we treat them all as issues, things that need to be solved, don't just answer the issues, eliminate the reasons they exist. This is back to that complaints example. If there's something that you have to keep doing in your business, if there's something that has to keep happening, can AI do it? Can technology help? I'll just very quickly recap. AI and technology can help with tasks that are done by hands, not brain. Administrative tasks, not thinking tasks. Your people are often your product, especially when it's you as founders. Remember that. It's really important to your success. Using the tools properly, we see an average of 10 hours saved per week per person. 25% of time saved on admin. That's what's possible. When you replace that time, make sure you do it with tasks that add value, not ones that don't. And finally, when you're solving things, when you have challenges, make sure you're solving the actual root cause, not the symptoms. Otherwise, you'll end up solving it over and over again. That's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.